Well, welcome to my first video tutorial. My name is Trisha with Upcycled Stuff, and I am all about playing with trash and trying to recreate something that's a little more useful than landfill garbage, and hopefully something that's beautiful. So today I wanted to show you how to reuse some of those plastic rings that you find on the top of soda bottles, water bottles, medicine, food, really anything that you bring into your house. If you have to open the lid, pay attention, you'll see that there's these wide variety of plastic rings that are not recyclable left on your food containers. So since they're not recyclable, we need to find something fun to do with them, and I think I found something. This craft, I think, is good for adults. It's also good for kids. It can be simplified a little bit for them, and I'll give you some pointers along the way. So today we're going to make a necklace, a very simple necklace, using these different rings. So go ahead and find some rings, search your water bottles and find two that are about the same size. And I will grab my two that I found. Color doesn't matter, they're going to be covered. So here's two rings that I'm going to use today. You're also going to need a glue gun. You'll need some kind of fabric. This fabric is quilting scraps. My mom quilts, so this is left over from stuff from her bin. But you can use old clothes that are stained and they're not wearable anymore, not donatable. Cut them into strips about, a quarter to a half an inch long. You don't want them too thick and not too thin either. You'll need some tools. You'll need a pair of needle nose pliers, jewelry tools. You can use two of these or just any other tool that you use for jewelry making. I only have one pair of needle nose, so I use these. You're looking for something that has a flat surface because you're going to hold a jump ring in there while you open it with your needle nose. So, two jewelry tools, pair of scissors. You'll need a clasp of some sort, a couple of jump rings, and crimps, and a length of cord of your choosing. This is just some black satin cord. Make it to the length that you desire. You can use hemp, you can use yarn. That might be easier for kids. It's not as slippery to work with. Okay, so to get started, let's get this drying here. We want to add just a little dab of glue to your rings, just to hold them together so that when you start wrapping your fabric around them, they hold still. I don't usually do this part, but it is a little bit easier. Let's make sure it's flat before it dries. Now grab your fabric that you found. You have this fun stuff. This was really colorful. So there's the fabric I'll be working with. So as you can see, it's not perfect. It has frays. Don't worry about that. You're going to do some overlapping with the fabric. Plus, I think it adds a little charm to the piece. So we're about dry now. You can go ahead and take your fabric and add just a little dab of glue. You need to be careful with the glue because, you know, hot glue dries pretty ugly, and you can see it on the outside of your material. So just go ahead and stick that in there. Should dry pretty quick, and then just start wrapping. And where you start on the ring doesn't matter. You're going to end up covering the entire piece anyway, and you're going to have to use two pieces of fabric because you have two rings, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when we get there. But you're just going to wrap so there's some overlap. Go ahead and keep wrapping. Now again, you can use the fabric or you can use yarn, hemp, whatever you have that's laying around that's left over from other projects. Okay, so we're getting close. We're going to make sure we get that whole ring covered. And now I'm going to take that piece of fabric and wrap it through both of those so it connects it a little bit better than just a little bit of hot glue. So, there. We'll wrap it through there 2 or 3 times. It kind of depends on how thick you cut your fabric. Oops. I think I'm just going to go twice. And then continue looping it around the one that you started, just on the single ring. Okay, so we're coming up on the end. You can see I have some frays, but you can go at the end and cut some of those long strings like this off so it doesn't look too worn. Alright, so we get to the end. I'm going to cut enough so that you can tuck it to the inside of your ring. Ever so slight with the glue. And then just squeeze as much as you can out of there. Alright, so as you can see, there are some strings. Just go back and cut them off. I won't cut them all, but for the purposes of being a little bit more quick with this video, but you just give them a little trim so that they look nice. Okay. Once you've done that ring, you'll take another piece, hot glue the end, wrap, and finish this one off. Alright, so once it's done, you'll have 2 covered rings, like this. I'm going to show you how to put the cord on. Okay, so you're going to take your cord and fold it in half. Make sure your ends meet. And then you have a little loop at the end. And of course these will both be finished. But go ahead and stick the loop through your ring. Take your 2 ends and stick it through the loop and give it a good tug. Now, satin is pretty slippery, and you can tug it and it will stay for a minute, but eventually it will come loose. So I recommend just a little dab of glue, ever so slight, on the back side of those cords, and that'll just keep it in place for you. Okay? Alright. So, now that you have a finished piece, you have your cord, now you need to put your ends on. Now if you're doing this with a child, it's easy enough just to knot the ends off so that it's big enough to fit over their head, and you're done. If you're doing it for an adult and it's not long enough to fit over their head, or you just want to make it a little bit more finished, we're going to add some clasps, or a clasp. So the first thing you want to do is, on each end of your cord, you'll need to apply a crimp. So I'm going to put just a dab of hot glue on here to hold it in place in the crimp while I close it up. Keep in mind, it's just a dab to hold it in the track. You don't want to depend on the glue to keep it connected because it won't stay. So it's just enough so that you can then take your needle nose. This is hard to explain, but there are some tutorials out on the web if you need more help on how to close a crimp. But basically you want one side to fold down first and then the other one to fold on top. If you just squeeze it, it'll meet in the middle and form sort of a tunnel, which your cord will slip right out of. So you're going to go in at a funny angle just to get one to start to fold, and then when it starts to fold you can move your needle nose more on top. You can even go this way and just push, push, push. Okay? And then you can take your other side. And this one gets kind of hard, it's slippery now. And squeeze that down. I didn't quite catch all of that cord, but you get the picture. Okay? So, excuse all the little pieces. Again, I didn't catch it. So you'll do that to both ends. And then you're going to add to each one of these, you're going to add your jump ring. So again, there is plenty of tutorials on how to open a jump ring online, but here's the quick and dirty way that I do it. Stick your jump ring inside of one of your tools. Okay, you're going to line it up so that the opening to your jump ring is facing a little bit more upwards, not straight out. And then the proper way to open a jump ring is side to side. Don't bend it open because it'll never close right and all of your findings will fall out. So just to the side a little bit. Drop in this other loop. And now while I have this open, I'm also going to add my clasp. So you just add that to the jump ring as well before you close it. Now give that a close. And then voila. There you go. So there's your crimp. Now on the other end you've added your crimp, and you've also added a jump ring. I know you didn't see it, but I did it already. So there. And your necklace is finished. You can just pop that puppy open, and there you go. A fun little necklace for you if you're looking for just the right thing to wear with that outfit, if you have some extra material because maybe you made it yourself, or just something fun for the kids to do. Now, I know that's pretty simple, but I want to encourage you to get a little more creative. I have a couple others to show you that I finished. So this one here, the rings are pretty simple because I only did one. So there's one ring that I covered in a really pretty green fabric, and I just dangled a little owl bead from the center with some brown cord. This other one, I did several of them, covered them in a nice fabric, and then added satin cords on either side with a little barrel clasp. So you can go simple, you can go a little bit more in depth. Have fun with it though. These plastic rings are not recyclable, and they're just ended up in a landfill, so why do that when you can use some scrap material and trash and make something really pretty? Well, anyway, I hope that you'll make one or two of these and post them somewhere, and if you do, post a link below so I can come and check them out. Thanks for joining me.